Greetings, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg. As you know, if you are a regular viewer of this channel, from time to time, I like to do indie author spotlights and bubble up those works by indie authors that are just trying to get their books out there and let people know that they've written them, because it is a big deal when you write a book. And I love supporting our indie authors. So I've got a stack of books here I want to go over. And I'd love for you guys to chime in the comments below and let me know which books appealed to you. I've got some history here by these indie authors and also fiction. So without further ado, let's hop in and let's start spotlighting our indie authors. Let's start with this one. This is, as you know, and I am a veteran, and I supporting our veterans and giving them the care they need when they come back from their, the wars, the traumas they've been through. I've always been about the aftercare of our veterans, mental health and just physical well-being and getting what they need. So in that capacity, I do have and just for the fact that obviously World War II veterans are, I think we only have one or two left living. But the next big wars we got are Korean War and Vietnam War, and I really want to, and I love reading memoirs from guys who have been in those wars. And this is an independent book by author Alan Ramias, and this is about his time, stories and poetry he wrote in the Vietnam War. And we have the bridge. Very nice cover, I think. Self-published, I believe. And this is a collection of, and thank you, Alan, gave me a nice handwritten note. I've read the poetry in here. I'm about halfway through the book. It's just a compilation of different types of writing. But let me give you a little description here. Alan, this is his collection of works, but let me just say that Alan Ramias was an Army reporter, editor, and photographer in Vietnam in 1967 to 68, and then was an editor of the Post newspaper at Fort Hood, Texas. And he's the co-author of two books. Okay, he does performance management stuff. He works in business as a training manager and management consultant. But this is a collection. Let me read a little bit from his foreword. So Alan was in South Vietnam in 67 and 68. And he says here, "Then I came home and, like many veterans, put away my memories, threw out my jungle fatigues, boxed up my photos, and got on with my life. I paid little attention to the happenings in South Vietnam until 1975, when the country was overrun. Like most Americans, I watched on television in shock as the communist tanks raced across fields and onto streets where I had once rode. My memories came flooding back, and I began writing the poems and stories you can read in this book. But then once again I turned away. I gave my medals, ribbons, and dog tags to my kids for their costume box. Eventually I retrieved most of it and focused on my family and career. Now, in the winter of my life," and how beautifully that's written, "now in the winter of my life, I have returned to the subject of Vietnam. It's always been there, at the edges of my consciousness, waiting to be told. So here it is." Like I said, it kind of starts off with some poetry. Looking back, he's got different sections. There's an interesting section on a transcript of a documentary that was being filmed at the time. And then part 4 is about the bridge. Very just visceral, the dialogue between the soldiers is very real. He includes some of his photographs that he's taken. Yeah, I mean, it's fiction, but they are definitely informed by his experiences. Yes. But the dialogue that I've read in these, it's just a collection of different kind of writings. So they're not necessarily all tied together. But I love just reading writings by, the men and women who were there. And so I wanted to bring this to your attention. The Bridge by Alan Ramias. Self-published, but you can find it anywhere you look online, probably Barnes & Noble, Amazon. But check it out. I wanted to make you aware of that. Also, this book, I'm thinking of also, like, in my last video, I talked about I've got so many ideas of different things I could do on this channel, different types of videos to make, that I'm compiling them in a notebook. And I have an idea kind of circling around not only the bridge. You know what? I want to put this out there and get your guys' feedback on this. I do indie author spotlights, and of course I've done indie author interviews, I'm considering doing a new series, something along the lines of a veteran author corner. So spotlighting, whether it's once a quarter, once a month, it depends on my schedule and what comes across, what I'm receiving from authors. A veteran author corner and featuring their book, which would include an interview, which would include, oh gosh, I even want to do like Q&As, and somehow figure out how to do that so that viewers of the History Shelf, you can sign up and maybe submit questions, or I'm still trying to think it through. But is there any interest out there for you? Now, I know that a lot of you come here just for straight history, but there is a subset of you guys that know that I am really into military history, and so this kind of goes into that niche. But this is a book that kind of made me think about doing a new video series, and this would be the first book in that series. It's fiction, but it's very much based in real life experiences. And I've talked to this author. He was kind enough to, send me a copy of his book. I'd like to interview him because this is an important issue for veterans. And again, this is another reason why I, like I said, supporting the mental health and wellness of our veterans who have served and sacrificed. Whether you support whatever action they were in on, they can't help it. They are sent where their government tells them to go. So please know, when I say I support veterans, I support them under Democrat presidencies and Republican presidents. I support our veterans no matter who's in charge. And I have a feeling a lot of you out there also feel the same way. I hope so, at least. That, it's supposed to be, veterans are here we take an oath to defend the Constitution. And even though I am not active duty anymore, I still take that oath very seriously. And if there's ways that I can support my country as a civilian, I do it. And in this case, on this channel, I love to support our veterans, and especially those who are trying to process what they've been through the vehicle of fiction or memoir. That's what I'm here to do. And anyway, this book, I'm in a busy time right now with my day job, but I'd like to get BJ Ricketts. BJ, I would like to get you on the program once I've had a chance to read your novel. And this is Blood, Tears, and Purple Hearts, a novel of war, disability, and PTSD, which I have not seen books just package itself like that and say this is distinctly about disability and PTSD garnered through war. And this one takes the look, it really, and it includes women in this, which we haven't heard about. There have been women in combat, and there have women who have been injured. I mean, look at, was it Senator Tammy Duckworth? I mean, women have sacrificed and even given up limbs for this country. So it's time that we look at that. So let me tell you about the story first, and then I'll give you a little background. Blood, Tears, and Purple Hearts is the harrowing and poignant story of two female naval aviators caught up in unexpected combat in the Syrian desert during the recent conflict there with ISIS. ISIS insurgents have shot down their helicopter in the fight. Both women are seriously injured in the crash. They must overcome physical injuries, disabilities, and symptoms of PTSD and try to put the pieces of their lives and careers back together. So that's the story. And our author, B.J. Ricketts, there he is, he served in the U.S. Navy for 7 years during the Cold War aboard an amphibious assault ship similar to the one described in this book, doing 2 Western Pacific deployments. During the Iranian hostage crisis of 1979, his ship was assigned to transport Marines for the U.S. Embassy hostage rescue attempt in Iran. this ties in with another book I'm going to show you in another video, actually. Additionally, after 9/11, he served with the U.S. Coast Guard as an auxiliary flight crew member, conducting air security patrols around petroleum refineries and facilities in the upper Gulf Coast area around southeast Texas. And I want to read to you his quote because this describes why he wrote this book. This story is based on many personal experiences during my time with the U.S. Navy and my experiences working as a civilian contractor in the Middle East during the height of the Iraq War in 2004 and 2005. I felt it was time to bring to light these kinds of traumatic experiences that all service members have always had to deal with to some extent. In our modern era, even American women, must deal with PTSD and disabilities from combat injuries, both physical and psychological. My hope is that after reading this book, people will have a better understanding of it and do more to help disabled and traumatized veterans live as normal a life as they should be able to expect as Americans and as veterans who should have that help. So I'm really intrigued to read this. He's got even some interesting color. What does he got? I know at the beginning he does. He's got like a nice color map. Chapter 1, another quagmire. It's just in his introduction is even more eloquent on the topic, and kind of gives us a sense of. And while the characters are fictitious, but he says here they could easily be any of the many combat casualties Americans have suffered since the beginning of all modern conflicts, particularly since the invasion of Iraq after 9/11. So let me know in the comments below if you might be interested in a veteran author, veteran authors corner. I might have to rename it or something, but this would be the first book I would, our inaugural one that I could show that off with. And I'll let BJ know, and he'll be watching this video once I send him the link, if you're interested in coming on the History Shelf and talking about not only the novel, but just your efforts to, educate people and encourage people to support our veterans with the care they need after they come back from these traumatic combat cases. So, yes. So let me know in the comments below. But I'm looking forward to going into more detail in this book later on this channel. All right. So, and then we're going to move on here to a couple more books that are, these are indie authors for sure. I wasn't at this event, but my brother-in-law was, and it was an event the commemorative Air Force put together, just kind of doing some, I think they had like some of those old World War II planes that was out at the local small airport. And anyway, there was like a concert, but they also had like people there, selling t-shirts and whatnot, but also some authors writing about their times. And my brother-in-law was so kind to get me these two books, both written by William B. Scott. And this one is published by North Slope Publications. And he picked up for me Earthquake, Brigadier General Robert F. Titus, Fighter Pilot, Test Pilot Leader, by William B. Scott. Slim little volume, but, this man, he's done it. He's written his book. And it says here on the back, chances are you've never heard of him. But rarely has an American warrior's life story been as varied and engaging as that of Air Force Brigadier General Robert F. Titus. His 32-year military career began as an 18-year-old Army paratrooper at the end of World War II. Against the odds, he later became an Air Force fighter pilot, flew a staggering 550-plus combat missions in the Korean and Vietnam Wars, and shot down 3 North Vietnamese MiG-21 fighters. As a test pilot, he flight tested U.S. Air Force Century Series fighters in the 1950s, including the rocket-boosted zero-launch F-100. Given the appropriate call sign Earthquake, his tectonic drive and superb leadership as F-15 project manager ensured the Mach 2 Eagle became a legendary fighter aircraft. Political battles to ensure the F-15 would be fielded with an internal 20-millimeter cannon Political battles to ensure the F-15 would be fielded with an internal 20-millimeter cannon cost him a few more stars, but every U.S. Air Force fighter since the 1970s has been equipped with a gun. After he retired, Earthquake continued to inspire countless Air Force Academy cadets who learned to lead by example from one of the Air Force's preeminent commanders. So yeah, I didn't know about General Titus, and how cool a cover is this? So I want to check this out. And here is our author in the back here. Very cool photo of William B. Scott. I think, and he lives in the Colorado area. So, well, not Colorado area, sorry. He lives in Colorado. I think he's north of me, but I don't know how far. But, oh, and I even got I got his business card to see if we want to do an interview. And he even autographed the book, because my brother-in-law asked him to. And it says, to Peg, thanks for, I'm trying to read this. Thanks for keeping these essential stories alive. Okay, best wishes, Bill. Oh, thank you, Bill. And then, as a bonus, he also threw in this book because Dave, my brother-in-law, shared with him that I've interviewed Colonel Keith Nightingale on my channel, who is a dear friend for this channel, and I'm hoping he's got another book coming out. I hope so. And talking about his time in Vietnam. And so Bill Scott threw this book in for me as well. So Combat Contrails, Vietnam. Also published by North Slope Publications. A little slim volume here. Also autographed. Thank you so much. Says here, almost half a century has passed since American troops were pulled from South Vietnam. Typically, they came home to family, friends, and colleagues who had no interest in hearing what those warriors had experienced. Aging Vietnam vets finally are being asked, what was it really like to fight in that ugly war? And they're sharing their stories, many for the first time. An A6 intruder pilot's private pre-mission musings asking, am I ready to die? A gutsy Marine calling in more than 450 rounds of 5-inch rounds fired by 2 ships, wiping out an entire enemy battalion, half of which were Chinese regular troops. Why was that horrific battle at the Kade River Bridge covered up for 53 years? An F-105 pilot being shot down twice within a few weeks and rescued both times. A Navy helicopter gunship racing into a killing zone trap and its crew's miraculous survival, thanks to a superb pilot's next to impossible maneuvers. Then repeatedly flying back into that nightmare of blistering gunfire because fellow Americans were pinned down. Combat Contrails Vietnam comprises these stories, right? 18 stories told by combatants who fought on the ground, in the air, and over the water. From rescuing downed pilots as a determined enemy closed in, to dealing with a crazed water buffalo in the back of a lumbering C-123K transport, weathered warriors shared their amazing, unforgettable Vietnam War experiences. This is right up my alley. Lots of photos, but brief snippets, brief windows into their story, like all these really intriguing stories of what happened. Let's see if I can launch this new series, Veterans Author Corner. Bill Scott might be our next guest on the program for that. So we'll see. I've got his I've got his card. See if we can get him this video. See if he's interested. All right, so let's move on here real quick. So we're moving away from the military history to a gentleman who's been on this program before. We've had a delightful interview. He's written really fun books about fun facts on history and making history fun. Well, he is still at it, and that is Scott Edwin Williams. He sent me his newest book, Unearthed, a History Nerd Abroad in Europe. And this is a light bulb moments book, because that was the series. I'll try to remember to link to that interview below with Scott. But yeah, Light Bulb Moments of History is his series, and it was a twofer. He had two books in that series, and he's still writing. I know he's got another book coming out really soon too, so I need to get on top of this. I told him, he knows how busy I am right now, but I want to read this and then have him back on the show for another interview to talk about Unearthed, because in the last interview he talked about he was going to be going to Europe and getting more material for a new book, and this is it. He went traveling, and I love the artwork. Whoever's doing the artwork for you, Scott, primo. Chef's kiss, love it. Let's see here. After years of writing about the past from a safe distance, card-carrying history nerd, I've got one too, Scott Edwin Williams, author of Light Bulb Moments in Human History, finally sets off to experience it firsthand. With his best friend and beer aficionado, CJ, in tow, he embarks on a whirlwind tour of Europe's greatest historical sites. I bet that was one hell of a trip. I bet that was so fun. Only they discover that history isn't only they discover that history isn't a passive observer. It lurks in alleyways, unpredictable, relentless, and hell-bent on robbing you of your dignity. Oh no. Oh no, Scott, what happened on your trip? Part historical pilgrimage, part pub crawl, and all existential crisis, Unearthed is a celebration of family, friendship, curiosity, and finding meaning in the chaos. I love this. Perfect for fans of Bill Bryson's irreverent humor, Tim Moore's misadventures, and travelers who know the best stories start when the itinerary falls apart. That's so true. All right, Scott, we're going to get you back on the program here real soon. And this is put out by, he's got his own publishing imprint. Way to go, Scott. This is published by Unearthed Abroad. Look at that. That is so cool. That is... He got his own publishing company. Yes, I love it. Self-published, his own publishing company. Unearthed. A history nerd abroad in Europe. So this is going to be some fun. Can't wait to have you back, Scott. All right. I've got some new books here. Let me go in the order of where, let's see. This is, okay, so this is kind of different for me. But I was contacted about it and I was like, you know what, I'll take a look and I'll share it with my viewers too, because I know a lot of you guys have very eclectic interests, which I love about you. And again, this kind of follows on in my, some of the latest books I've been digging into that are, in my last video, I showed you a book I picked up about an Indian political thinker and writer, Ambedkar, that was his name. Let me just take a quick sip here. But we're going back to India. And this is put out by Pippa Wren, Books and Media, UK book. But this is Transformed by India, A Life, by Stephen P. Hewler. I'll say Hewler. Foreword by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and preface by Dr. Shashi Tharoor. So transformed by India. So like a kind of like a memoir, autobiography. Let's do this. Okay, well, this is an author who has written books before, but I just wanted to highlight it here because I've never heard of Stephen Hewler, and so we're just going to put it in this video. I think it still makes sense. So let's go ahead and read this real quick. Stephen Hewler's journey into India began on his 20th birthday, pedaling a bicycle rickshaw from the border. Over 52 years, for an average of 4 months a year, he has explored India's diverse village and other subcultures through his writing and photography, becoming a leading documentarian of India. Transformed by India invites readers to join Hewler as he navigates this remarkable nation, highlighting individuals from the wide spectrum of life all around the country. Tying all the many stories together is an acknowledgement of the innate strength and creative capacity for improvement expressed everywhere in the subcontinent. Hewler's friendliness and skills have opened doors, leading to shows of previously unrecorded material in major Indian and international museums and galleries. His 6 earlier books and many publications are illuminated by the iridescent soul of India. Now he shares his life and thoughts with you. And it's a big book. Let's see here. I'm going to read a little bit from the Dust Jacket flap, which is in his voice, where he says, my heart and mind span an ocean. I have been drawn to India since I was invited there as a teenager by 2 remarkable Indian women, Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay and Rukmini Devi Arundel. I apologize for if I've mispronounced. They opened doors for me throughout the subcontinent, encouraging my lifelong travel to almost every Indian district to record arts and rituals, traditions and innovations. My 6 earlier books and my dozens of museum exhibitions across the globe attempt to bring awareness of India to those outside it, to heal misperceptions, and to foster appreciation for this ancient yet contemporary culture. Transformed by India is my attempt to communicate the stories of some of the exceptional individuals, both in the mainstream and those far outside it, who welcomed me and transformed not only my perceptions, but also my thoughts and even my personality. So this sounds fascinating. And I love reading people's stories of travels and things they've learned. And there's a nice section of inserts here with beautiful photographs of people he's met in India, him as well. I just like, the older I get, the more I just like to see people coming together across cultures. I just love it. Oh, wow. And there's some more pictures of some of his books there he's written. Um, so yeah, and if any of you have a love of India and Indian history and culture, I think this book might appeal to you. So again, it's Transformed by India, A Life. Let me know if you've heard of Stephen Hewler in the comments below. And again, this is from Pippa Rand Books. Pippa Rand Books. This is out now. So thank you for that review copy. Okay, I'll go with this book right here. I've just been getting such lovely emails from independent authors. Not all the time, they're not good fits for my channel. They could be fantasy fiction and stuff like that, and I just have to say I'm sorry. It's just not what I cover. But this author reached out to me and wrote this book, and I was like, well, this sounds intriguing. And he was kind enough to send me a print copy, which I'm glad for, because like I said, my eyes have been taking a hit reading. So I work all day on a computer, and then to read more on an e-reader at night is too much. I really need to pop on my glasses and read print. It's easier on my eyes. So thank you to Michael. Michael Engelhard sent me a print copy of his new book, No Place Like Nome, The Bering Strait Seen Through Its Most Storied City. So I'd like to know how many viewers I have out there in Alaska. Love to know if, you're like, hey, I live in Nome, or I want to know about this. This is put out by Corax Books, so it's available now in paperback as well. No Place Like Nome. Let me give you a description here. It says, beyond sled dogs and gold. Somewhere between myths and hard facts you find Nome, poised also between yesterday and tomorrow. Drawing on his background in anthropology and an equal passion for history, Michael Engelhard, through the lens of one pivotal city, surveys the seam that links two neighboring continents. The region's legacy of millennia, from mammoths to Cold War monuments, from a spa-turned orphanage to cyclist miners and a shaman's horde, shines enriched by this writer's recollections. Meet the explorers and adventurers, reindeer herders and hustlers, the dancers, drummers, dreamers, warriors, walrus tusk carvers and whalers, clergy, foragers, and photographers who shaped a place of conflicting visions as thoroughly as it shaped them. Oh, this looks great. I love this. Is beautiful too. Let me just open this up. I love it. We've got, it's kind of divided into 4 parts: the place, the personalities, art and industry, journeys, and great photos. I love this, like sepia tinted photos, author's note, deep time horizons. Yeah, I'm going to be dipping into this as well. Look at these maps, they're fantastic. Natives' view of the Bering Strait. Isn't that wild? Oh, that's so cool. Seward Peninsula, introduction, blustery hub for 2 continents. So it's a history of like Nome and Alaska and Bering Strait and the indigenous people there. Glacier, oh, this is great stuff. Glacier Priest. Each chapter kind of just gives you a different take on things. The Lemming Lady personalities. So I am just tickled pink by this book. Thank you, Michael, for sending me a copy. Let me know in the comments below if you are from Alaska or Nome, and if you're just interested in learning more about Alaskan history, this is a book for you. No Place Like Nome, The Bering Strait Seen Through Its Most Storied City by Michael Engelhard. Um, let's see, what has Michael done here? He's lived for 3 years in this storyteller's El Dorado by the Sea. The National Outdoor Book Award winning author of, he wrote another one called Arctic Traverse, a memoir about trekking the Brooks Range, and of the Grand Canyon essay collection, No Walk in the Park. He has traveled widely in Northwest Alaska as a wilderness guide and ethnographer. Fantastic. Well, first of all, congratulations, Michael, on your latest book. I look forward to tapping into this and sharing my thoughts when I can. It's just, what's hard is like, I get so many requests, but I really wanted to highlight this because I first of all, I love history of cold places. Things set in cold places, Antarctica, the Arctic. I just love reading about it. So, this is a book that's going to be on my nightstand soon. So, but I wanted to let you guys know about it now because it's new and it's out. So check it out. All about Alaska history and culture is from Corax Books, Corax. You can probably find this anywhere, Barnes and Noble, Amazon obviously, but check it out. Ask your library too to see if they'll stock it. Wow, the sun. I meant to say the sun, but I started to say the sound. The sun is coming out, even though it was getting really dark, and we're supposed to have thunderstorms right about now. So we'll see what happens. Let me finish up. I've got one more book I want to show you in this Indie Author Spotlight. I am really tickled by this, and I did not expect the author to send this book all the way over the pond to me. And he gave me his business card and apologized for the packaging. But it arrived safely, Ross. I'm amazed. And I was like, did you have to give up the college fund for the kids to ship this overseas? I told him not to. I was like, look, I will make do with the, it is not cheap. But he sent it to me anyway. And I want to thank Ross Gilfillan. And this big historical fiction novel, I cannot wait to dig in because the description is vague enough and intriguing enough where I'm just like, this is going to be good. So this is, and let me know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but I believe it's in Leicester Fields. And the subtitle is Nothing Destroys Like Art. I love it. And it's by Ross Gilfillan. Now, he has written some other books, right? Yes. His first novel, The Snake Oil Dickens Man. And he also wrote another one. But Ross Gilfillan has written a lot of literary books columns to the Daily Mail and has written a wide range written for a wide range of newspapers and periodicals. He's got his own website too. But look at this nice big thick book. This is, let me see, I think it definitely self-published, right? Oh yeah, he's written a few books, Crime and Punishment in Victorian London, Losing It, The Edge of the Crowd, and The Snake Oil Dickens Man. But I wanted to include his book because frankly, I think over here on this side of the pond, we're hearing about you probably for the first time. This is self-published, and it begins in London, 1783. So let me just give you the very brief synopsis. Like I said, it's very mysterious, and it's got my interest. And I'm going to follow up on this book once I've read it. In 18th century London, dying artist Henry Grace plans to atone for unspeakable sins he committed with a hellfire club in an extraordinary way that threatens to bring down the establishment. When apprentice artist Michelangelo, or it says Michel and then Angelo, second word, when apprentice artist Michelangelo enlists journalist Morris Mouse Malone to investigate, deadly forces are unleashed. So like, right, it's just like, what's happening? But I love the subtitles, Nothing Destroys Like Art. And then look at that piece of artwork he chose to, is this the burning of Burning of London or something. I think so. Um, it when I've been looking through it, and from what Ross has told me in our emails back and forth to each other, he gave me a little more description. It's kind of like an intellectual. It's got an intellectual theme, kind of thing, more of a take on things, a stance on things. So I cannot wait to dig into this. So I wanted to let you know about this new book, self-published by Ross Gilfillan in Lester Fields. Nothing destroys like art. So let me know if I mispronounce that. But anyway, I will be following up on that book. Thanks again, Ross. I hope you can recoup your money in some way for mailing this to me all the way over from the UK. All right, guys. So that wraps up our latest indie author spotlight. Let me know what appeals to you here. Let our authors know. They want to know, who's been intrigued by these titles and who might be checking them out. Thanks again for supporting independent authors. They always bring something new that I think that mainstream publishers just don't capture. And there's that element of newness, to writing that is, to me, is charming in many ways, as people are getting their stories out there. So let me know what you thought in the comments below. Again, thanks for watching and thanks for supporting independent authors. And until next time, everybody, take care, be well out there, and we'll see you soon here at the History Shelf. Take care. Bye-bye.